Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be focusing on the new Litecoin 4-year cycle, and it's a newsletter that I posted very recently, and I posted this one for free recently because many people wanted to see it. So without further ado, I'm also going to talk about this one here with you guys on YouTube. So just as a preface, as a brief introduction, this is the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, and you can see how as we scroll down, Litecoin is essentially lagging behind Bitcoin. So you guys are pretty familiar with how Litecoin is lagging behind Ethereum USD. Well, Litecoin is also lagging behind Bitcoin USD as well. So it's identical. You can see how Bitcoin is so much further along in its process, in its new 4-year cycle, and Litecoin it hasn't even taken off yet, to be honest. If you think about these resistances over here and these resistances over here, we're at that 4-year cycle resistance. So even though Litecoin crashed minus 36% over the past few days, we have to understand that we've just rejected from a very important region, a 4-year cycle resistance. And it's no surprise that we got such a strong rejection from such a strong area. But the general consensus here from the charts is that we're going to see further upside and follow through in this new candle 1 that Litecoin is developing in its new 4-year cycle. So you can see how this was a U-shaped reversal, how this is a U-shaped reversal. And remember guys, we were talking about U-shaped reversals quite a lot. U-shaped reversals in Cardano's price action, in Ethereum's price action, in the altcoin market cap even, and also in Litecoin USD. So this U-shaped reversal on the 4-year cycle is very promising, because once we break past this region, then it's all systems go. We're going to see new all-time highs for Litecoin. I'm very confident in that happening, and the question is, where will this cycle take Litecoin really? That's the most important thing to think about. But let's dissect the 4-year cycle in a bit more detail. And of course, if you guys want to spend some time with this newsletter, feel free to check out the link in the description down below. That's where I'll share the link to this newsletter with you. Basically speaking, candle 1 is the most exponential out of all of them in the 4-year cycle. Interestingly, candle 2 is the bear market candle that follows that exponentiality of candle 1, the euphoric candle 1. The bear market correction is minus 92% for Litecoin. Not only in this 4-year cycle, but in this one as well, which is really interesting for a volatile asset like Litecoin. Really interesting to see that we have a constant. And that constant is a minus 92% correction in every 4-year cycle. So that is going to be quite useful in trying to understand how much Bitcoin, or at least Litecoin, could correct later down the line. But in any case, not only is Litecoin at this resistance over here, this horizontal resistance, this key 4-year cycle resistance like it was over here, it's also at the resistance which is confluent with this horizontal resistance. This diagonal is confluent here. This diagonal is a multi-year resistance area, and you can see Bitcoin has the same thing. Bitcoin has the same diagonal resistance, which is confluent with these horizontal resistances right over here. So this confluent resistance area is going to be quite tricky, and it was quite tricky for Bitcoin to break, but it will break nonetheless. But notice how these multi-year diagonal resistances differ. In Litecoin's price action, you can see that this diagonal resistance rejects Litecoin for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years, roughly speaking. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th year where we're seeing rejection at this diagonal resistance. So that's an interesting thing to know, because even though Litecoin is lagging behind Bitcoin, Bitcoin's diagonal resistance only rejected Bitcoin's price action for 1, 2, 3 years. So it takes a little bit more time for Litecoin to catch up to Bitcoin and to actually challenge for a break past this diagonal resistance, which is only a testament to the fact that Litecoin is just lagging behind Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin takes 3 years to challenge that resistance, it's going to take Litecoin a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that Litecoin isn't going to follow Bitcoin. So here are key 4-year cycles, 4-year cycle levels for Litecoin. It's going to be, of course, 305 in this cycle, and also 230, roughly speaking. These are going to be the resistances that we need to break. And I'm not even focusing on the old all-time high of 420, because in the past, this old all-time high wasn't really a factor in rejecting price in that new candle one, and 420 is probably not going to reject price much once we get going in this new candle one as well. It's this really strong resistance area that is going to be a bit of a problem in the short term for Litecoin, much like it was over here, but you can't see that in this candle one. It's just a straight candle one, but there was some resistance here before. In any case, if you just zoom out, in a few months' time, you'll see that this candle one you'll also see that this candle one didn't struggle with this resistance area as well. So, you know, that's just how the macro perspective works. But I break down these 4-year cycles in so much more detail in the newsletter, so I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of them, but I do compare those cycles. But basically speaking, what's really interesting here is that we're seeing recurring things across time. And it's not just a 92% bear market correction for Litecoin, but it's also how, for instance, we see a multi-year support hold price in each cycle. So right over here, $2.30, 70 cents, apologies, is what holds the 4-year cycle intact. Of course, we'll see some downside volatility, but generally the candle bodies here keep on closing above this support. So this is a consistent multi-year support, much like this green area of $30 is also a consistent support area for Litecoin in this 4-year cycle. So that's quite interesting that we see a consistent support area holding price up. But not only that, Candle 3 tends to be quite small in its candle body, just like it tends to be here. Very similar size, in fact. Can you see that? Very similar size. Of course, we'll see some upside volatility each time, like we see over here, even some downside volatility. But candle 3 is going to form a lower high compared to the candle 4 upside wick, much like we saw over here, lower high. But having said that, we don't only see a lower high, we see a higher low. So relative to this $2.70 support region over here, you can see that candle 4 is actually forming a lower high here. So even though there is a lower high, here's a higher low, right? Higher low, lower high. But the fact that we're seeing a higher low, I'm getting mixed up already, guys. The reason that we're seeing a higher low over here just showcases that people are ready to buy Litecoin at a bit more of a premium than in this candle, this 12-month candle. So this high low is very, very important because you can see that extends all the way back to candle 1 as well. Candle 1 also being this wick being higher than this wick. And this just showcases another thing that's recurring throughout time. Candle 3, the top of candle 3 becomes the bottom of candle 4, right? Can you see that? The top of candle 3 becomes the bottom of candle 4. The top of candle 3 becomes the bottom in candle 4. But not only that, the top of candle 4 becomes the bottom of candle 1. The top of candle 4 becomes the bottom of candle 1. Really interesting stuff, guys. I mean, it just showcases how we're claiming old areas of resistance as a new area of support, and then old area of resistance as a new area of support. Old area of resistance here, the top of candle 3 becoming a new support in the bottom of candle 4, and then we see the top of candle 4 become a new support in the new candle 1. So it's just fantastic cyclicity, guys. And based on all of these interesting principles, I hope I didn't miss out any because these are really cutting edge insights. Here is a summary of some of those key insights. And if you guys really enjoy this newsletter, feel free to share it for free. It's a free newsletter. This is some of the research that I tend to share with valued subscribers of the newsletter every Monday. I made this one free for you guys just to understand what it is that I share in the newsletter. Really cutting edge stuff that can really help you guys going forward, insights that really matter to you as a crypto investor. So these are some of the insights from the things that we just covered, a nice summary, and based on all of these interesting cutting edge insights, I'm going to be talking about what the new Litecoin 4-year cycle could look like going forward. Now, it's very difficult because candle 1 here isn't the same as candle 1 here. They're very different, so we don't see any recurring price tendencies in the candle 1s. But we do have a constant, and that constant is minus 92% corrections in the bear market candles for Litecoin in its 4-year cycle. So based on this, and the fact that we see a long-standing multi-year support here, and a long-standing multi-year support here, I constructed a range from green to the next green, encompassing the candle 2 over here. And by doing so, by just constructing a range around this constant, perhaps we'd be able to construct a range later on which would give us an idea where Litecoin could potentially rally. So constructing a range around this candle 2 gives us a range to range move, a range low to range high move of 780%, right? And in this range, doing essentially the same, encompassing the candle body of candle 2, it's a 620% rally. And there is a diminishing rate of return over here, clearly. So if we just appropriate this diminishing rate of return as a constant, much like this bear market correction is constant in a retrace of 92%, if we just appropriate this as a constant, then the next time we break out from a green to green range would be 460%, which would lead price to a $1,700 Litecoin. I'm not entirely set on that price target, guys. This is just to give you guys an idea as to not where the peak would be for Litecoin, but just to understand what we could expect. And this is just a speculative, prospective price target, not even a target. I just outlined this level to give you an idea as to what we could expect going forward. And here's what we could expect. So this is what a prospective 4-year cycle could look like for Litecoin. If we do rally a significant amount, and it's very likely that we will, based on this candle, even if we rally like this, that would be great too. It's much larger than this current candle 1 in the new 4-year cycle. So if we rally exponentially, we'll top out somewhere. But the main thing to take away here is that we're going to form a multi-year diagonal resistance, just like we did over here in the previous 4-year cycle and in the 4-year cycle before then. So a multi-year diagonal resistance will form, but at the same time we're going to see an upside wick in candle 1, and we're going to see an upside wick in candle 2. So I did these wicks prospectively just to showcase that lower high, but also to showcase that we're going to see some volatility. So first of all, we're going to see a FOMO wick into new all-time highs, and then a FOMO wick to try and reach those FOMO highs in the candle 2-year, but ultimately failing to form this multi-year diagonal. So that's one of the main things we're going to see in the next 4-year cycle for Litecoin. And then a minus 92% correction, most likely, the bottoming out candle being this size, just like it was over here and over here, the upside wick being whatever it will be at the same time, just like we saw here and just like we saw here. But this candle 3 is going to be tested as a support by candle 4, and this candle 4 isn't going to eclipse this multi-year diagonal, just like it didn't over here and just like it didn't over here. But candle 1 is going to be that candle that breaks past that multi-year diagonal and breaches this region of resistance, just like we are going to see over here in this current 4-year cycle. So the 4-year cycle for Litecoin hasn't really taken off. There's a lot more upside to enjoy, but be rest assured we're going to see significant downside once that 4-year cycle ends. So no need to hold Litecoin as an investment for many, many years. Hold it strategically throughout the bull market, because that's when it's going to make sense. That's when it's going to be a profitable investment. And right now we're in a period of time where this 4-year cycle hasn't really even taken off yet. It really hasn't taken off yet, guys. And if we just look back to the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the leader here. we've broken out to new all-time highs. This candle one is still in its infancy if we compare it to previous candle ones right over here. In the same way, Litecoin candle one hasn't taken off yet based on the previous candle ones in its new 4-year cycle. So very interesting stuff. I can't wait. We're still very early on, not only in the Bitcoin bull market, as you can see, because the 4-year cycle, the new 4-year cycle, has just started for Bitcoin a few months ago. In the same way, the 4-year cycle, the new one for Litecoin, has also started a few months ago. And we're still so early. So even though Litecoin has crashed minus 36% today, over the past few days, that's going to be a blip in an otherwise new euphoric exponential candle one to new all-time highs and beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course like this video if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future on other altcoins. Just let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching today. I'm Rekt Capital and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak soon.